Today, we will learn about top 5 prison escape. Who were the escapees, and how did they manage to escape? Beware. These are real-life moments that seems like action thriller movie. Let's dive into Escape 1. The legendary Alcatraz escape of 1962. Prisoners: Frank Morris, John Anglin, Clarence Anglin. Location: Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary, San Francisco Bay, California. Date: June 11th, 1962. Status: never officially found. Case remains open. On a cold night in June 1962, 3 men vanished from the most secure prison in America, Alcatraz. Surrounded by shark-infested waters and fortified like a fortress, it was called escape-proof. Until that night, Frank Morris, highly intelligent, IQ of 133, in and out of prisons since he was 13. The Anglin brothers, bank robbers, grew up swimming in icy Michigan rivers. They knew how to handle cold water. Together, they formed the perfect team for the impossible. Planning the escape, they began digging through air vents behind their cells with spoons, a drill made from a vacuum cleaner motor, and improvised tools. At night, they used cardboard dummies with real hair to fool guards. Every night for months, they chipped away at their cells, behind music, during count, in total silence. The dummies? So real. Guards didn't notice until morning. The Great Escape, they broke into an unsecured utility corridor, crawled through air vents, climbed pipes, reached the roof, escaped down the prison walls, crossed the yard, and launched a homemade raft made of 50 raincoats stitched together with heat. With the stars above and the guards none the wiser, they launched their flimsy raft into the freezing San Francisco Bay and vanished. FBI launched a massive manhunt, found the raft remnants, a paddle, and some personal belongings. Official stance: presumed drowned, but no bodies were ever found. In 2013, the FBI received a letter allegedly from John Anglin saying they were alive and seeking medical treatment. Were they swallowed by the sea, or did they slip into the shadows? The FBI closed the case, but officially it remains open. What we learned: even the strongest prison has human weaknesses. Intelligence, patience, teamwork, more powerful than steel bars. This escape inspired movies, books, and remains a mystery to this day. The Alcatraz escape taught us one chilling truth: no prison is escape-proof when the human spirit refuses to be caged. The Maze Prison Escape, 1983, Northern Ireland. Prisoners: 38 IRA members. Location: HM Prison Maze, Northern Ireland. Date: September 25th, 1983. Status: 19 recaptured quickly, others disappeared into Ireland and beyond. Clapperboard, Northern Ireland, 1983. Tensions were high. Conflict between the IRA and British authorities had reached a boiling point. But inside one of the most secure prisons in Europe, a quiet storm was building, and it was about to explode. Who were the escapees? All 38 were members of the Provisional Irish Republican Army, IRA, seen by some as freedom fighters, by others as terrorists. They were imprisoned for crimes related to the conflict: bombings, shootings, attacks. Many were experienced, disciplined, and politically motivated. These weren't just ordinary prisoners. They were political soldiers, willing to risk everything for their cause, even in prison. Planning the escape over months, smuggled guns and knives made their way inside. Fake uniforms, diversion tactics, and coordinated roles were all part of the plan. They specifically targeted H Block 7, which held the most IRA prisoners. Everything was calculated. Who would lead? Who would distract? Who would take the keys? It was more than an escape. It was a military operation. Execution of the escape: prisoners overpowered guards, took hostages, and used a hijacked food delivery truck to break out. They passed 5 locked gates with keys taken from guards. One prison officer was stabbed, survived, several were injured. In just minutes, the most secure prison in the UK became the scene of total chaos. 38 men poured through the gates and vanished into the Irish countryside. 19 prisoners were captured within days. Others escaped into the Republic of Ireland, the US, and mainland Europe. Huge political fallout: questions about prison security, government responsibility. Some escapees became key figures in peace negotiations years later. It was a national embarrassment for the British government and a massive propaganda win for the IRA. The escape showed how political ideology and planning can overcome even the tightest security. The maze escape wasn't just a breakout, it was a warning. When prisoners believe they're part of something bigger, no wall is high enough. Some of the escapees were never seen again. Some shaped the future of Ireland, but all of them left behind the echo of one of history's boldest escapes. All right, let's jump into Escape 3, El Chapo's Tunnel Escape. 2015, Mexico, prisoner, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman location, Altiplano Maximum Security Prison, Almoloya de Juarez, Mexico date, July 11th, 2015 status. Recaptured in 2016, who is El Chapo? Joaquin El Chapo Guzman was the leader of the Sinaloa cartel, one of the most powerful and violent drug trafficking organizations in the world, responsible for thousands of deaths and billions in illegal drug trade. Arrested in 2014 and placed in Altiplano, Mexico's highest security prison. He escaped once in 2001. Now, under 24-hour surveillance, in a prison designed to stop even the most dangerous criminals, he did it again. The master plan: El Chapo's associates bought land near the prison and constructed a tunnel over a mile long, starting from inside a small building off-site. The tunnel was 4 feet high, 30 feet underground, and ran straight to the floor of his prison shower, the only place in his cell not under camera surveillance. It included ventilation, lighting, and even a motorbike on rails used to travel quickly. It took months, millions of dollars, engineering precision. They even used GPS to guide the tunnel exactly under his cell. Then, on July 11th, 2015, the plan was set in motion. Around 8:52 p.m., El Chapo vanished from the view of his security camera. Within seconds, he had slipped through a 2-foot wide hole in the shower floor, down a ladder, and into the waiting tunnel. He was gone before anyone realized what had happened. 18 minutes passed before anyone dared open his cell. By then, he was long gone, riding a rail bike through a mile of darkness to freedom. International news coverage, protests, El Chapo's escape was a global embarrassment for the Mexican government. The tunnel was discovered with shock. 30-plus prison officials were arrested or investigated. A massive manhunt launched helicopters, checkpoints, and U.S. support. He was finally recaptured in January 2016 after a shootout in Sinaloa. You can build concrete walls and barbed wire fences, but if corruption eats the system from the inside, no prison is strong enough. Escape 4, the Texas 7, 2000, USA, prisoners, 7 violent criminals location, John B. Connolly Unit, Kennedy, Texas date, December 13th, 2000 status. 6 captured, 1 committed suicide. Behind the walls of the Connolly Unit, 7 inmates weren't thinking about parole or rehabilitation. They were planning a war. Who were the Texas 7? All 7 were serving long sentences for violent crimes: murder, rape, armed robbery. The ringleader was George Rivas, a former military man with a brilliant mind twisted by crime. The others were Joseph Garcia, Randy Halpern, Larry Harper, Patrick Murphy, Michael Rodriguez, and Donald Newberry. Each had a reason to run. Together, they would become one of the most dangerous prison gangs in American history. The inside job: the 7 worked in the prison maintenance shop, giving them access to tools and uniforms. On December 13th, they overpowered supervisors and prison staff, stealing clothing, keys, radios, and weapons. They took hostages, used fake calls to distract guards, and split into distraction teams and escape teams. It was a military-style operation. Coordinated, timed, precise. They weren't breaking out, they were breaking through. The escape: they disabled surveillance, cut phone lines, and blended in as guards. Hijacked a prison maintenance truck and drove straight out the back gates. They were gone before an alert was even raised. In less than an hour, 7 men walked out of maximum security prison and disappeared. The group robbed a radio shack, stole weapons and supplies. During the robbery, police officer Aubrey Hawkins was ambushed and shot 11 times. Officer Aubrey Hawkins never saw it coming. The escape turned into a national manhunt, now fueled by blood. The escape made national headlines. The group was featured on America's Most Wanted, leading to multiple tips. By January 2001, They were located in Woodland Park, Colorado, hiding in an RV park, pretending to be Christian missionaries. Their luck ran out in the snowy mountains of Colorado, but they weren't all taken alive. Final moments as authorities closed in, Larry Harper took his own life. The others surrendered and were taken into custody. One by one, the Texas Seven were caught. But their trial wasn't just about escape. It was about justice. What happened next? All 6 survivors were sentenced to death for their role in Officer Hawkins' murder. As of now, several have been executed, others remain on death row. The escape led to nationwide prison reforms, especially in how work crews and maintenance access were handled. Their plan worked, but the price was steep. In the end, they left behind a trail of fear, loss, and a promise that justice would be served. Meet the sky-bound outlaw. Escape 5. Pascal Payet. The helicopter thief prisoner. Pascal Payet location. Various prisons in France dates. 2001, 2003, helped others escape. 2007 status. Recaptured after each escape. Most prisoners dream of climbing walls or crawling through tunnels. But Pascal Payet? He looked to the skies. Who was Pascal Payet? A former security guard turned armed robber, Payet was sentenced to 30 years for his role in a deadly heist in 1997. Locked up in a high-security prison, but he wasn't planning to wait 30 years. He became obsessed with escape, especially by air. Where others saw concrete and steel, Pascal saw airspace, and he knew how to use it. The first escape, on October 12, 2001, an accomplice hijacked a helicopter and forced the pilot to land on the prison roof. Payet ran to the rooftop, climbed aboard, and vanished into the sky, gone in under 5 minutes. The pilot was released unharmed later. Payet went underground. No one had ever done it in France like this. The guards were stunned. The world was impressed. And Payet? He was just getting started, helping others. 2 years later, Payet didn't just escape, he returned the favor. Organized a second helicopter escape, this time to break out 3 fellow inmates from the same prison he escaped from. Again, it worked. Again, they vanished. Not just an escapee now, he was a legend. Recaptured and watched, Payet was caught again in 2005 and placed in ultra-high security conditions. French authorities move him from prison to prison every few months to prevent escape. They locked him down. Cameras, isolation, constant transfers. But it wasn't enough. The big one. On July 14th, 2007, Bastille Day. For armed men hijacked another helicopter, landed in Grasse prison, and freed Payet again. The entire escape took less than 10 minutes. This time, he was Europe's most wanted. He escaped on France's National Day, a symbolic act of rebellion. Now, the legend of Pascal Payet went global. Interpol and French authorities launched a massive manhunt. Payet was finally recaptured in Spain 3 months later. It took 3 months, international cooperation, and endless surveillance, but they finally grounded the man who flew too many times. What happened next? After his final recapture, Payet was put in complete isolation, declared a special security threat. He was never allowed access to courtyards again. France banned all prisoner helicopter access in high-security facilities. No more skies, no more chances. This time, France clipped his wings. From rooftops to rescue missions, Pascal Payet redefined what an escape could look like. He didn't just break out, he broke history.